Hey everybody, Barry here again. Got the sway bar bolted on. That's all done.
And it looks really good. It's all centered up and bolted in. It's not finished because I have to finish welding the gussets and stuff.
And I'm gonna do that tonight, along with pull the cradle out, pull the engine and transmission off of it, and finish welding up what I have to, and then clean and paint the cradle, put the clutch in, get all that stuff done, bolt it back together, and then put it up and forget about it. Like, that'll be the last time, hopefully, that I'll have to take the engine out until, you know, carnage sometime in summer. So, that's pretty much what I have planned for tonight. And it's very easy to say it in 30 seconds, but it's going to be a lot of work. So let's get started.
Another thing I'm going to do is make caps for the end of these frame rails so they don't look homemade with square stock just left open for dirt and salt and garbage to sit in there. So I'll put those there, weld them up, and then weld up the gussets and pound these carriage bolts down through. I'm gonna pull off this sway bar now because when I get it down on the ground it's gonna be hard to do. And disconnect the links. I will probably disconnect the bottom ball joint here so I don't have to pull the struts and all down. And undo the steering shaft up here. And then not much more than that to it. Get some jack stands down and get the engine out of it. It's pretty windy tonight, so you'll have to kind of deal with the background noise a little bit, but other than that, it should be fine.
I went and cleaned up the garage and the bench and stuff for a nice fresh start before I begin at this, because there's nothing worse than starting off with clutter. So I went ahead and swept the floor and stuff. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up some time lapse and get this thing taken apart. Also, I need to cut out my bushings that go in between here, because obviously this is not going to stay solid. I just had to make up something so I could have everything up in place, and now is the time. I'm going to use this conveyor belt stuff here. You can see here that I used it for various things before. It's about a ½ an inch thick and it's very durable. This is old conveyor belt a guy used to use in a barn for his horses, I'm pretty sure. Let's get this thing taken apart and see where the night goes. Man, I love this setup. This is so cool. It makes it so much faster to get the engine and transmission out. All I had to do is disconnect the tie rods and ball joints on both sides, mount back here, this one here, and the front one. And that's it. Now when I get the engine completed with the turbo on it, with the clutch hooked up, drive shaft, all that stuff, there's gonna be a lot more to disconnect. But right now, in the early stages, this is very simple. I'm gonna go ahead and take the engine off of it and get ready to weld in some stuff and then start painting. Wow, making steam. So easy. So easy. Well, I have some more welding to do. I'm gonna cap in these ends, finish welding up these gussets. Lots to do tonight. Lots of time. I started early. I started like 7 p.m. So, go till I run out of steam again, I guess.
I came over in my scrap steel bin. I was gonna grab this 1/8 inch by 6 back there, but then I found 1.5 inch wide flat bar, which will work perfect. It'll actually fit inside, and I can just weld it and clean it up. Mint. I've got my 2 plates made up that are going to go in the end of here. I just got to kind of tap them, get them to fit in place, and then weld them in. That's hot. And that looks really good. In there nice and flush. Now I can go in and weld them in. And when I clean it up and grind it down, it'll look like it was made that way. This is exactly what I was hoping for. It looks so smooth. The wheel I used is really, really aggressive, as you can see, but it's flat.
And when it's painted, it's going to be smooth and it's going to be black, and you won't see any welds. So that's pretty cool.
I ground down these here just to take some strain off of that point on the rubber bushing. Let's go ahead and weld up these now.
One of the flankers from the grinder just went directly in my nose. Ow.
Well, I must say, everything's going really, really well tonight. That's all done and ground down. I need these down here to be completely flat because this is where the sway bar bushing bolts on. And if there's any hump in this at all, it's going to take some of the strain off of the bushing and can cause it to warp or knock. If the bushing is allowed to be in there loosely, it can kind of knock around. And these make a lot of noise if they're loose. So I made it very nice and flat.
I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the rack off and then paint this thing. Looks like it's that time. was ready to paint, and I really don't like painting. And I'm gonna do it with a brush. So this is gonna be especially punishing.
But anyway, get over it, Barry. I'm gonna paint the top side first. And then I suppose tomorrow when I come back in,
I'll flip it over and paint the bottom side. Make sure everything is nice and clean and blended well. And when it is, I'll get the thing flipped back up right again and we'll put it back in the van. Before I do that, I had to put the engine together, put that back on the cradle, but this video is about the cradle itself. So we'll focus on the engine in another one. Well, let's go ahead and get you set up, and I'm gonna start painting. Before I start, I'm gonna show you what I'm using for painting. This is Krylon Rust Protector. It's enamel, it's some serious stuff. Part number is right here, 469401. And this is wicked stuff. We sell it here at the shop and it's a good price. It's a gallon. I don't have any quarts here at the moment, and a full gallon is way too much for that frame, but I do have to cut off the back half out of the rat rod and weld in a whole new frame on the back, so I'm gonna need to paint that. So it's not gonna be a waste for sure. Plus I have to do the rear end in this one, and I'll probably paint any of the underside that's exposed after I'm done welding, any of the brackets I make up and stuff, so it's gonna go a long way. Pretty sure you can thin this stuff and spray it, but I'm just gonna use a brush. Gotta give it a good shake. Well, I'm done the top side, and man, that looks good. First thing you'll notice is I didn't paint the plates where the engine bolts on. Main reason for that is that's one spot where I'm going to ground the engine to the frame, and it'd be nice to have that left bare. And also, when I bolt the engine in finally, I'll scrape off these tabs, unless they're already scraped off. Yeah, they are. Sick. All right. I already got ahead of myself. That'll make a good ground, and I'll run a ground from the cradle up to the frame. That way it'll be nice and triangulated, and probably from the cylinder head back to the body, and just have basically grounds everywhere. Yeah, man, that looks good. So much better, all painted up. Another thing I have to do is clean up this whole engine bay. Get in there with some degreaser and soap and water, get some red paint, and paint all this up here, because of course that looks like either base coat or bare metal. I think it's base coat though. It's kind of messy looking. Yeah. So I'll get that all painted up so it doesn't rust. Now I still have to paint the bottom of this. You can see that this paint goes on wicked thick and glossy. Now, I'm not a good painter, and this is not flat metal and stuff, but it definitely goes on thick. Of course, the bottom isn't done. I got more done than I expected tonight, and it's before midnight. That's absolutely crazy. Usually it's like 4 o'clock when I leave here. So I'm all done for tonight. I don't want to get ahead of myself and start scrapping down the engine and run out of time and stuff. So what I'm going to do is cut the video off here. Now that I have this painted, I'll come back tomorrow so I can flip it over, paint the bottom side, and then go ahead and assemble the engine. I'd like to get all that, you know, in one video, so I don't have one 40-minute video tonight and then 2 minutes worth of painting the cradle tomorrow. I like to kind of split it all up, you know, have a good, decent 10, 15, even like a 20-minute video is not extremely serious, but I'd like to keep it at least half even. So I'm gonna shut her down for tonight. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.